What's good everyone, it's Steve from SnkrTechTalk, back with another video today. For today's video, we will be taking a look at the performance review of the Jordan TATUM 2. Alright, so as far as the traction pattern goes on the TATUM 2, you are kind of getting these pods right here at the heel and the forefoot, and it is kind of a zigzag like pattern, kind of like herringbone. You also have some more rubber here, and then this portion right here is foam. Now how these perform on clean floors is very nice, a pretty silent traction pattern setup. On dirty floors they do collect a ton of dust. Clean floors you'll be good to go. I just thought it was a bit of an inconsistent traction pattern because on dirty floors you will have to wipe a lot more, because I was sliding out quite a bit if I wasn't wiping every 3 or 4 plays here in the TATUM 2. And I just think the brand could offer a nicer traction pattern setup. I don't think I would bring these outdoors because I do think you would wear through the foam portions right here. You obviously have these lines kind of wrapping around the pods as well. Overall, again, on clean floors, they are very nice. Dirty floors, not so much. And then outdoors with this foam wrapping around the heel and in the forefoot, I do think you would wear away this traction pattern quite quick. So as far as the traction pattern goes on the TATUM 2, I'm gonna have to give them a 7.5 out of 10. Now, as far as the cushioning setup goes on this model right here, at the back of the shoe, you do just have a standard Phylon foam. Now, this foam is like a cinder block on foot. It's very firm. It's one of the firmest EVA foams I think I've ever felt. It takes a ton of time to break in. And then directly under your insole in the TATUM 2, you do have an air strobel unit that does run from heel to toe. It is very similar to the PG line, so you do get some nice impact protection while maintaining the court feel up front as far as staying closer to the floor. So that cushion setup directly underfoot is very nice. At the back of the shoe, there's just not a ton of compression, which makes them feel very block-like on foot. And I just wasn't a huge fan of what they offered here in the TATUM 2. I did really like the forefoot cushion in the TATUM 1 with the Zoom airbag up front, but here I just think it was a bit of a setback. And we'll get to this portion right here on the side of the shoe, but this definitely hampered the overall cushion experience and setup with this rubber that does wrap up. But overall, really nothing that I was a huge fan of as far as the cushioning setup goes in the TATUM 2, and that's why they're gonna score a 7 out of 10. As far as the fit goes in this model right here, really nothing special. I went with my standard size 10.5, and my toe is seated right here near the end of the shoe right here. A very form-fitting basketball shoe, not overly sloppy at all. And I really enjoyed the overall fit of this shoe, but there was some portions of the fit that was bothersome with this rubber pod right here on the medial and on the lateral side. These really dug into my foot on the sides and took a ton of time to break in. And they also hampered the overall cushioning setup because this is more of a rubber material rather than foam. And I just found it to feel really like a cinder block on foot. I was not a fan of the way it fit or performed as far as the cushioning goes. So again, they do fit nice on foot as far as around near the toe box and at the back of the shoe, but right here in the forefoot on either side, it was not the nicest feeling. It took about 2 hours to break in, which definitely sucked on foot, but I would recommend going true to size if you have a regular foot, maybe up half a size, or just try them on in store if you can, if you are a wide footer, because they do taper in quite a bit here in the forefoot. But overall, the fit was decent, but really nothing special, and that's why they're gonna score a 7 out of 10. As far as the materials go on the TATUM 2, I'm actually not mad at it because it is lightweight, breathable, and it just forms to your foot very nicely. At the back of the shoe, you have these foam portions right here, which are very nice and form-fitting at the back of the shoe. And then you do have some mesh material that wraps around the ankle collar right here. And then kind of like a screen mesh right here wrapping around the midfoot on either side. And then on the toe box, you do have a synthetic nubuck material and wrapping up and around the eye stay right here. So kind of a multitude of materials on the side of the TATUM 2. You also have this rubber portion that acts as a lateral side wing that does wrap up the side of the shoe on the lateral. and a little bit here on the medial side. So all things considered, the materials are decent as far as the way it fits your foot. And then right here at the tongue, you also have some of that nubuck material with some more perforated mesh material wrapping up the tongue. So I'm not mad at what they have here as far as the materials go, and that's why they're going to score an 8 out of 10. They break in pretty quickly and feel pretty nice on foot as far as the way it fits the top of your foot here in the Jordan TATUM 2. As far as the weight goes for the Jordan TATUM 2, obviously the TATUM 1 was Jordan Brand's lightest basketball shoe to date, and the 2 comes in at 13.5 ounces. So I do believe that's a little bit heavier than the first model, but still a very lightweight basketball shoe, all things considered. Now, as far as the support goes in this basketball shoe right here, starting at the back of the shoe, you do have an internal TPU heel counter, which does a good job of locking your foot inside the back of this shoe right here. And then you do have this rubber wing that goes up on the lateral side to help prevent your foot from spilling over the side of the shoe. You also have this rubber portion right here in the forefoot on the lateral and the medial side, and that's supposed to act as more support when you make those hard lateral cuts. And it does a fantastic job of harnessing your foot in the side of this shoe right here. Now, my only issue with this is that this material here on the side of the shoe takes a ton of time to break in, and it really takes away from the cushioning experience, because the rubber portion right here in green on the lateral and medial side, just honestly, they feel like a cinder block on foot. I know they have a purpose as far as helping prevent your foot from spilling over the side of the shoe, but it just does not feel nice on foot. At the bottom of the shoe, you have a decently wide and stable base right here. I don't know if there's a torsion bar in the shoe. I would think there is, because it's very firm and really crazy torsional rigidity as far as what you're getting here on the TATUM 2, which was far better than the TATUM 1 in my opinion. So again, all of these features have a reason and a purpose of being on the shoe, but just these wings on either side did take a ton of time to break in. But overall, in my opinion, a very supportive basketball shoe, and that's why the TATUM 2 is going to score an 8.5 out of 10. So that's going to do it for today's performance review on the Jordan TATUM 2. Now, I'm not sure what the brand is doing with their athletes. Obviously, the TATUM line thus far, in my opinion, has been a pretty big letdown. The aesthetics of the shoe, I'm not a huge fan of. I would recommend to wait for these to go on like 30 or 40% off, because I just don't think the performance translates very nicely on court. But again, you have that air strobel unit directly underfoot. You get this kind of cheap material setup, but does break in very quickly. A pretty supportive basketball shoe. The traction is decent, but really nothing special. I do think it would wear away very quickly outside. But overall, I'm not a huge fan of the fit and just these pods, like I already mentioned a few times on either side. And I'm not a huge fan of what the brand is doing as far as Zion's shoes, Luka's shoes, and obviously Jason Tatum's shoes here. I do think they do have some work to do to give us some better performing basketball shoes. But sound off in the comments what you guys think of the Jordan TATUM 2. But like I mentioned, that's going to do it for today's performance review on the Jordan TATUM 2. Sound off in the comments if you guys have tried these out and what you guys think of his second signature shoe with Jordan Brand. As always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that does help the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at SnkrTechTalk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.